Hey everybody, and welcome to another video. Today we have a special surprise. Today we are interviewing Bjor from Team Naturist, who is the man behind the hashtag Naturist Symbol. So today we're going to be talking about Bjor, about a little behind the project of finding a symbol, and what are the opportunities of this symbol. Bjor, thank you for joining us. How are you doing today, sir?
My pleasure. Not too bad. It was a pretty good day so far. Let's hope it continues that way.
Excellent. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is the man behind the Naturist Symbol? How did this get started? First of all, who is Bjor?
Bjor is a teacher. I teach English and German. I own and operate a microscopic language school in the German outback in the state of Hesse. Small team of people, but we have pretty good results. Yeah, I'm a naturist, as you know, as you saw in my nude and proud video.
How long have you been a
ago.
naturist, Bjor?
Since conception, more or less. I grew up with a very open-minded mother who allowed things. My grandparents were seasonal nudists. They were Norwegian. As in the summers, you could be sort of semi-nudist. You could do what you wanted in your garden. Winters, it wasn't such a good idea, unless of course you had a sauna or something, because you didn't want to freeze anything off that you needed later. So they were very much into summer naturism. And when I visited them, you sort of lived in that lifestyle. And my mother was okay with it because they often watched me when I was a young kid. And then later we went to visit. And then it was just sort of the norm. You visit the grandparents, that's the way it was. And I lived that way at home. There was no stress, at home, no dress code, as it were, which was fine. I would have to say I was more or less a naturist until I got to the teen years. There were a couple of years in between where I have to say I was kind of upset with the way my body was developed. Suddenly things were happening, hair was sprouting in places that I wasn't expecting it, and things were growing and shrinking and carrying on. And I said, nope, I just don't feel comfortable. I'm going to wait until everything settles and I get used to my body again. And that's exactly what I did. When I went back to university, or when I went to university, I got back into it, sort of, more or less.
And how did that passion for naturism evolve into Team Naturist? Because you also have like a community that you promote, in a sense. How did that get started, and what was the idea behind Team Naturist?
Well, it started more or less here where I live. I live in a university town, and there were other naturists around where I live, and we could get together and do things. There was always a group of young people where you could get together, watch films, play games, go to the lake together, do that sort of thing. Slowly but surely, the students finish their studies and they go off. They go home, they get careers, they do things. The younger students that come in aren't necessarily my age. They've got different ideas, different plans. So I decided it's time to move on. And I decided to move more into the internet. I still kept a circle of friends. We still had get-togethers with a more, I'll call it, mature audience. We still did barbecues and grill-ups and all sorts of things. But slowly but surely, the topics were no longer, where are we going to meet and go bowling, or what are we going to do? But who's watching the kids next week? That sort of thing. Things just develop in different directions. So I thought, okay, I'm going to widen my horizons. And I got into the internet, and I was on a couple websites, and some of them were kind of iffy, and I thought, not necessarily my cup of tea. I eventually ended up on Twitter, and within 5 days, I already had a couple of followers, I think. Because at the beginning of Twitter, you are quite literally talking to no one. You're sending out tweets hoping that somebody will see them.
Yes.
That sort of thing. Please discover me. I'm a likable person. Find me. That sort of thing. And after a couple of days, people started saying, okay, that was okay. And that was around 2012, 2013. And I had such a likable group of people together, I started Team Naturist. We started doing things like calendars, We've put together a calendar every year with people who have appeared in Thoughts of the Day posts or just wanted to be in the calendar and that sort of thing. The Thought of the Day actually came very, very early. That was in 2013. That's basically where it started, and that's where the retweeting started. Because first you have 5 or 6 people, friends, family, followers. You always have a couple of family people who sort of take pity on you and then follow you and think, oh, I'm never going to see what he's doing anyway. Who cares? And eventually they like something and they retweet it. And then people see, oh, there's a retweet, and it goes from there. And then you have this chain reaction thing going on. Before I knew it, I had over 1,000 followers. I don't really care for that term, but we'll call them followers. You sound like a guru. I have followers, but I don't really care for that. We'll just say we have 1,000 followers. And then it went, more or less from there. We got into calendars, Thought of the Day posts, and things like that. And that's where that was.
And how do you notice that this has been received by the community, these type of activities that you do, in a sense, to build a form of identity? I think that having the calendar, having the mugs, having these projects where people participate and upload their pictures and things like that, I feel that in a sense it contributes to feeling as we are part of something. I don't know if that
Definitely.
has been your experience.
Yes. I have to say at the beginning, people were very skeptical. Why does this person I've never seen before, I've never met in real life, want to have my pictures, put philosophical captions on them, and then retweet them to people I don't even know and I will never meet, sort of thing? I have to say at the beginning, people were like, well, if you see something on my feed that you like, you can take them. I'm not going to send you anything special. And after a while, people were actually they were actually posing for pictures and sending them in. We say, okay, I think this would be good, or this would be good. We also had photo challenges where people were recreating them, and that made people feel like they were part of a unit, part of a club. And that sort of helped. And I think a lot of people in Team Naturist, I'll put it to you this way. I've met people at World Naked Bike rides. I've run into people here in the town. They say, oh, you're a Team Naturist, that sort of thing. Other events, there was a bowling event that I went to a couple of years ago, and you're the guy from Twitter. Well, I only say I'm one of the guys from Twitter, but yes, that's the way it goes. But you get this sort of group going, the group feeling going, which was important. And I've got friends all over the world now,
Tell us a little bit about the thought process that went behind searching for a naturist symbol.
Okay, that's a bit, okay. I'll give you a bit of background on this. Ever since I've been on Twitter, I've been on Twitter for a long, long time, been on the internet, been on other sites, you always run into people, or almost always run into people, who live in places where they can't necessarily be open about their naturism. Either they have problems with bosses, family members, whatever. They say, oh, if wife, sister, mother finds out about this, they're going to, disavow me and kick me out of the house. Other people are afraid for legal reasons. They say, I live in other places. Or they say, I just don't know anyone. You remember the Little Britain thing? There was a gay Welsh guy who said, I'm the only gay in the village, right? Who thought he was quite literally, but he was surrounded by gay people, but he just didn't recognize it. We have the same problem as naturists. In our real life, you can't tell who we are because we're normally wearing clothes. On the street, you can't tell that person is a naturist or not. There's no badge, there's no tattoo, there's no secret mark. So it makes it impossible to find like-minded people on the street or in the wild. Okay, if you go down here to the lake, we have 2 naturist venues here very close by. You can start up conversations with people and meet people that way. Not everyone has that.
No.
I know people who live in American states where the next people are miles down the road, and to hope that they're naturists, so they've got to drive 2 or 3 hours to find the next resort or venue or event, that sort of thing.
I think those are, in a sense, lucky people, because there's other countries like Mexico or Latin America or even Asian countries or so on, where they don't have that. Like it's not even a 2-3 hour drive. It's just something that you can't find. So I have had that experience that a lot of people feel like they're the only ones, and it's not true.
Exactly. So you feel like you're the only nudist or naturist in the village, kind of thing. And people are always looking for fellowship. You see people on various websites saying, is there anybody in my area? Is there anybody in lower Wisconsin? Is there anybody in Minnesota? Is there anybody in who knows where?
So it came out of the need.
Alice Springs. I don't know. We'll take all sorts of places. And then when if sometimes there's no response, there's no echo, because you might be on at a time when nobody else is on, or just nobody is around. You know, they just don't happen to be on the same website, that sort of thing. So that makes it difficult. What we have to do is make it possible for naturists to identify each other when they're not nude, and that was the idea behind the symbol.
Okay.
You know, put an identifying mark on people.
I do
Now, if
remember.
I could go back just a little bit, let me interrupt
sure.
for just a little bit.
Sure.
A couple of years ago, a fellow named Harmon and I sold bumper stickers with the Team Naturist logo on it. Right? It's just the word naturism in 6 different languages. And we sold those worldwide, but most of them went to the UK, some of them to Europe, 2 or 3 to America, right? But a lot of people said, I would love to have that bumper sticker, but it's just too open. It is just too clear. It is too on the nose. I'd like to have a symbol, but it cannot identify me as a naturist. I want people to know that I'm a naturist, but I don't want people to know that I'm a naturist, if you understand.
So I want naturists to find me, but I don't want everyone else to know that we are naturists.
Exactly. Right? So all sorts of people would say, even then, this was years ago, oh, please, could you come up with that? I said, no, that's not my idea. That's not my job. Recently, I've encountered 2 or 3 more people from a variety of countries, Central America, North America, Australia, who said, look, I am dying for fellowship. I am tired. You know, the social naturist part is missing. I'm stuck at home. I'm alone. There's no one around. I've got no one to talk to. Everybody's talking about doing these great events. We've got nothing. There's no whatever. So we have to make it possible to find each other. That's when I thought of the symbol again, and that's where that basically came from. You know, we have to get a symbol going where we can actually identify each other. I can't hear you.
Sorry about that. How did this poll come to be? What was the process that was followed, the mythology? It went on, it was first of all by submissions, and then there was several polls. What was the idea behind each and every one of them, and how did you come to the symbol that we have now?
So yes, the globally accepted universal naturist symbol, as some people like to call it, or the universally accepted global symbol, or just the new naturist symbol. It's got all sorts of names. I was going through the internet the other day, and people, all sorts of things. Anyway, in the late summer, because of certain global circumstances that we're all experiencing right now, work had come to kind of a standstill. I was working on a couple of projects, and I thought now would be the time. So I said, okay, I'm going to put on my Twitter feed, and I'm going to ask all of my followers, friends, family, to retweet this appeal. Send in designs for what you think would be a spectacular naturist symbol. I explained why. I made this thread, and I explained my thinking and added an address. And I said, send your ideas, your submissions to this particular address. And I put it in the instructions. Please make certain that nobody else owns this design. Make certain it's of your own, whatever. You've invented it, you've come up with it, or if it's a variation on something that you have the rights to it, carry on. 2 or 3 of the submissions could not be used for, let's just say they were anatomically perplexed, or they were maybe a bit too on the, well, calling it the nose would be using the wrong word, but you know what I mean.
They
Some
were
of
too
them could not be
explicit.
used, yes, too explicit.
Yes.
Nobody was going to put that on their car. Nobody was going to wear that as a patch on a hat. It just was not going to.
You'd be surprised.
Well, that's true too. Maybe in 3D. Who knows? But still, moving on. And some of them were clearly taken from other people's logos. All they did was maybe flip them upside down and backwards. There was one logo that a lot of people liked. It's a blue and yellow flag. It's the Skinny Dipper flag that somebody in Alaska had come up with, and somebody in Alabama reproduces, carries on. I tried tracking this guy down. One of my friends also was on the internet Googling his little fingers off, trying to find this person. We've got through LinkedIn and all sorts.
No luck.
This guy is gone. He's Howard Hughes. He cannot be found. He just does not want to be spoken to. So I wrote to this company that reproduces the flag. And I said, who owns the rights to this? We're doing the naturist symbol. And they didn't write back. So I said, okay, fine. So luckily, one of the people on my Twitter feed made a variation on it. What he basically did was he put an N on it. It's the same basic idea, but all he did was put a white N on it.
Mm-hmm.
I said, that's a variation. Nobody has the rights to that. So boom, we took that. So after we had, I think it was about 30, I think we had about 30 ideas. And I was emailing people, do you have the rights to this? Is it okay? Some people had sent in the same idea 4 different ways, which I thought was okay, but you just have to be, you can't all have them in the same poll kind of thing. So what I did the first time was I put them on my Twitter feed, right? Because Twitter allows simple polls. You have 2 pictures. Which one do you like? A or B? Whatever. So at the end of the first one, you count up all of the A's, you count up all of the B's. If there was more than a 2%, or if there was less than a 2% difference, then I'd let them both go through, et cetera, because you want to be fair. You can say, okay, maybe it's a bad week, maybe somebody wasn't on. So you say, okay, at least a 2%. The next week.
How many symbols were put in the first time?
In the first round, it was 20.
Okay. And how many passed through the second round?
Well, 2 of them, well, actually, for more than 2 of them, but I only recognized 2 of them because I made a mistake the first time. It went through automatically to the final round, but I had 2 came out. So in the next round, there were 14. There were 14 to choose from, because 2 came in as wild cards later. They were the day that I started the poll. These other ones came in, so they were added. The oval one that people are talking about, and another one. So anyway, and so the first time I had then another one of your Patreons and I got together, and he made a better website for the polling the second, because we knew it was going to be more complex. And that did a lot of the math for me. So it took out he's a bit more sugar factor. So it quite literally did all of the maths for me and told me, at 9 o'clock Pacific daylight time, who won, more or less. And then we came into the third round, and we only had 7 then. We went from 14 to 7 because, half lose. And then there were a series of 5 questions. And people asked questions depending on the score from 1 to 5, and we added the scores, and there was a formula.
So what were these 5 questions, and what did you want to evaluate through them? What was the criteria, or how were they considered to be more or less relevant?
Well, the first 4 were super relevant for me because they were, how usable is the symbol? Okay. Do you like it? Is it, just generally, is this something that you like? 1 to 5, 5 being the best. Is this something that you would wear? because a symbol is useless if people aren't going to display it.
It's true.
Yay, we have a symbol, but it's going to rot in a drawer somewhere. That doesn't work. So you have to have a symbol that people are going to adopt, right? Would you put it on your car? Would you display it on your lapel? I'm pointing at a lapel that I'm not wearing right now, but you know, that sort of thing. So that was the one. And then would you go to a venue? Would you go to an event that is displaying this? Because we hope that eventually organizations, venues, and events are also going to adopt this symbol so that you know, aha, these people are naturists, we can go there, that sort of thing. Websites are starting to use, I mean, I've already seen 3 websites now that have it on. I'm rather proud of that. So that's good. Anyway, and the 5th question was an invert question, and it is, how recognizable is it as a naturist symbol? How on the nose is it? And we wanted to have the inverse of that, because we know that people in some places are not going to, it's not supposed to be a secret sign. It's not going to be sort of, you know, I'll meet you behind the trash bins with a cigar at midnight kind of sign. It's supposed to be one where you recognize each other, but it should not be sort of, hello, this guy is a nudist kind of thing, right? So we decided to take the inverse of that, because if people say automatically on first sight, that is a nudist symbol, we know that half the people aren't going to wear it because they can't, because they just can't wear it to work. They can't put it in the car because they would immediately be outed.
Okay, so all of the symbols that were in your face in a certain sense were discarded because we want this symbol to be used amongst everyone.
Well, we didn't discard them. Some of the symbols were very in your face, I thought.
Yeah, well,
I mean,
definitely.
I mean, there were some really, in fact, there were some symbols that I kind of liked, but they were in your face. But I know that people wouldn't necessarily use it.
It's true. There's some people that would use them, but the majority who don't want to, you know, make it so evident to people who are not naturists that they're naturists might be hesitant because they're afraid of being judged.
Absolutely. So we had to take the inverse of that last one, because as soon as people, and there were a couple that people automatically, that was scoring huge. I mean, there was one on the last question, there was a circular one, I don't know if you remember, there was on 4 colors, and there was a naked man and a naked woman sort of standing there. And it got a lot of instant nudism kind of thing. And that worked against it, because we knew that people were not going to put that on their car.
It's true.
I can't imagine somebody in backwater Arkansas, I don't know if there's a backwater Arkansas, but you know what I mean, there's somewhere, is going to put that on the back of their car and go down to the Piggly Wiggly. It's not going to happen.
Probably not. I don't imagine it being a symbol that you would take to church, for example.
Exactly. You know, you can't pull up in front of St. Michael's Brethren with a picture of 2 naked people on the back of your car, unless of course you park against the fence. So you have to think about these things.
That might be a good
idea. Back her up. We got the sign on the back of the car. All right, that sort of thing. Okay, but I mean, most people aren't going to do that. Anyway, so that being said, all of these scores, we tried to keep things as fair and as democratic as possible. I did not make any comments about any ones that I liked or didn't like, about how things are going, until maybe the day before. And some people were, could you let us know how things are going? Because a couple of people are like, could you give us a hint? And I said, okay, these are the top 3, but I didn't show the symbols. I just said, these are the top 3 for scores, but nobody knew which one it was, because they wanted to see, well, is it worth voting? Right? Because if the gap is so big, there's no reason for me to waste my 5 minutes voting on these things. The thing was, there was just a 4% or 5% difference between the first one and the second one on the day before. Now, this gap widened on the last day, but not hugely, but it widened. In the same,
How long did the poll go on for?
Went on for an entire week. Went from
But that was the
noon
last stage, right? The
Monday,
final.
my time, to midnight Pacific time on the following Monday.
And the previous polls. So like, and
Always 8 days.
what I want to know basically is how long did the entire process take from the point that you accepted submissions to the point that we came up with a final symbol?
August to October.
Okay, so it was a pretty lengthy process. And this
Yes,
process
and
took
I tried to
place
be open to
on Twitter
things.
or anywhere else?
People can send their submissions in any way they wanted. I was on Facebook. I had people in other places telling people where to vote, because it's true. Some people said, well, how is this a globally accepted symbol if I didn't get a chance to vote for it, because I have no idea who this guy is. Who's this old fat guy in Germany? I don't know who this guy is. So they're not going to, they have no idea. So they're going to basically say, So I tried to get people to spread the news so they could actually vote, at our central voting place.
Okay, and this brings me to another question. Um, what does this symbol represent, or who does this symbol represent? Like, what is the idea behind it?
Um, okay, this is a big question.
Very controversial one, I bet.
This has been the fuel for many conversations. The symbol itself, you'd probably have to talk to Silly Bear, the person who came up with it, to find out exactly what it. Well, he actually put a description behind it: the sun, the sea, the different rays on the sun represent the different continents, and the people getting together, and it's a very sort of kumbaya idea kind of thing. He has the description with it, and that will be appearing on a website very soon where people can download the thing, because right now you have to download it from a Dropbox, and some people can't find the Dropbox, and some people don't trust that, and whatever. So we're going to put it on a website where people can go and download it. Anyway, the symbol should not, and I'm emphasizing this, not explain what naturism is. It is not a symbol of what naturism is supposed to be. As one person, Naturist Amsterdam, wrote, it could be a big pink blob or a big pink bubble. It wouldn't really matter. The idea is to connect people so you can find like-minded people. The symbol itself does not convey the ideas of what naturism is, but it puts you in contact with people who will tell you.
Okay.
Right? If I see this symbol, in fact, today, I think it was you who put on different symbols on the internet.
Different variations
exactly.
of the same
Exactly.
symbol. Mm-hmm.
We have different, exactly. We had different ideas. No, that's all I meant. You had like different religious symbols and different other symbols.
Well, I was making the case.
But they don't explain what anything is. For example, this does not tell you live long and prosper. This is, we associate that idea with that. People associate different things with crosses and stars of David and all sorts. But the symbol itself does not tell you the tenets of love, peace, understanding, whatever. We associate those things with the symbol, just as we should associate naturism with this symbol. So I've had complaints. There are no trees. No, there are no trees. There are no trees in the symbol. If you want to imagine trees, you can imagine trees. The waves at the bottom look like buns. Are they boy buns or are they girl buns? They're waves as far as I'm concerned. And I'm not going to try and sex buns that I think are waves. If you want to, you can do. And for me, if you think they're buns, they can be unisex buns. Right?
So it's basically a symbol that is meant to connect people, but whether they agree upon whatever nudism, naturism, being a nudie or whatever means, that is not up to the symbol to decide. That's exactly a conversation that we can have, especially naked by the pool with a beer.
Or two.
Or two.
Because if you wanted to put the entire definition of naturism and all of its different variations, because everybody seems to have their own little idea on it. It would cover a building wall. It would cover just that sort of thing. And nobody's going to put that on the lapel, because it'd be huge.
Yes.
So what we just need is a little teeny tiny something or other that people can wear as a button, or they can wear as a badge, or they can put on their cap or whatever, put on the back of the car window sticker, so that they can identify this person is a like-minded person. Well, I'll tell you a very, very, very quick story. Maybe it'll help out a little bit. Maybe it won't, but maybe it will.
Okay.
And you can cut this part out.
I'm not going to edit it, so go ahead.
One of the kids I raised is a gay man. And when he went to study in a different town. And he was having some, I'm allowed to tell the story, by the way. When he got there, he was having problems putting down roots, finding people, whatever. He was feeling a bit lonely. And one day he went shopping, and he happened to see another car with a rainbow flag on the bumper.
Mm-hmm.
So he decided to sit in his car and see what would come out and get in the car. Firstly, because he's a gay male and they wanted to size up what was coming out. You want to see what's on the meat market, probably. Secondly, he wanted to see, well, that's true. Let's face it. Is this person part of, Oh, and also, he didn't want to feel alone. This feeling of, I am not alone. I am actually part of a greater fellowship, a greater circle of people was very important to him then. He wasn't as alone as he was before. It's the same with this naturist symbol. I don't want people to feel as alone as they were before. Okay. They should know I am in a greater group of people. Whether I talk to that person or not is up to me. I don't want everybody who sees my symbol coming up to me and chatting me up at all times of day and night. There are times you just want to be off. Even you don't want to have, around the clock.
No.
See, so that's the thing. So the symbol basically says this is a person who admits openly that they're naturist, but not so openly that it's in your face. They're not screaming it out into the wild, but they're admitting that they are that. So you can chat them up possibly, or you can leave it be.
So this brings me to another question. There's definitely a lot of symbols, and there has been a lot of attempts to find a symbol that could bring us together. I've seen a lot of variations depending on the organization or whoever. And what is the likelihood that these organizations that already have some sort of symbol, such as, I don't know, INF, ANR, or British Naturism, or I don't know, the Thailand's Federation or whatever.
Well, some parts of them have already got back to me and said, we're going to try and incorporate that into our symbol, or maybe make it part of our logo, or incorporate it onto our website. So it's a badge on the website, not necessarily make it part of their logo, but included, like you have on the front grille, you have the different badges from all of the automobile clubs you belong to. It's the same thing there. Some people say, look, we're going to, for example, Team Naturist. Right now, I've got a graphic designer working on trying to get my Team Naturist logo, with the 6 languages in, around, or through this new symbol, because I want to marry the two. Other people say it just doesn't work for color, whatever. We have had 2 or 3 rather vocal people who said, we don't care for it. I don't see myself in any way represented by this symbol, because there are no trees, there's no green, it's not out there enough, whatever. I don't see any people in this sort of thing. And you say, fine. Nobody's going to come around your house in the middle of the night and sort of brand you with this symbol. It's up to you whether you want to use the symbol or not.
Of course.
We just hope that eventually a majority of organizations and events uses it, and eventually it will spread. I know as time goes on, just as you had the gay flags on your tweet thing this afternoon, that started out as sort of equal rights, and it was an insider. Nobody knew exactly what it meant until it became more and more popular. People started seeing more of it. Then you saw so much of it that the people could no longer be considered an outsider group, sort of thing. They were still a minority, obviously. Excuse me. but they were no longer alone. They were something to be reckoned with. If other people suddenly see how many of these white badges are going around with the little blue waves and the yellow sun with the rays going, they're going to recognize them also as a market. These are people we can market stuff to, even if it's just sun cream or toothpaste or something. They're going to say, this is the brand that most naturists use, whatever, that sort of thing. Because once people see how big the numbers are, they also become a market force. If you want to see it in a commercial, because some
Which
people like to see things commercially. So I'm going to
some
put it.
people could see that as something positive or something negative, depending on your views. I think it's important to have more and more people wanting to take part, to participate, to bring
Oh,
value
yeah.
to this community and so on. So in my way of seeing it, that's something positive. But a little bit of context of the next thing that you mentioned, we well, today I uploaded some variations that we were doing of the symbol, um, more out of a creative need to find maybe alternatives for some people that were probably not happy with the symbol originally. Um, what is your idea, or what are your thoughts behind creating variations of this same
I,
symbol?
I feel as long, well, even the flags that you tweeted this afternoon, over time they have evolved. People have added and taken away things. The original gay flag had one extra stripe, but that stripe was taken away. A lot of people don't know about that. There used to be more stripes.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, Mike. But they will all evolve. The same as the symbol will probably evolve over time as well.
Okay.
People will also be adding the names of their own venues, their own events. I can imagine people putting whatever Clover Spring or Clover Spa or something in the one space, or they'll be putting a what is it, AANR or something maybe in the white space there, or they can put it in a circle around or whatever. Maybe eventually, who knows, maybe INF will take the little space in the sun and put the little INF thingy in there. You never know. It's all possible. Now, if you take that, so it's eventually going to, people are going to tweak it to fit their own purposes. Now, I saw some of them, like I said on Twitter, some of them I thought were rather ingenious. I rather liked the idea. I don't like leaves because a lot of people associate leaves with biblical stuff. They go,
Mm-hmm.
yes, the original sin kind of. I've been around the naturist block so many times to hear pro and con leaf that I'll leave that for a different day. So I tend to stray away from leaves, and snakes. For some reason, I don't know. Some people like snakes in their symbols.
Snakes.
Snakes, I don't know. I think it's associative. I'm just going to leave it. But it's
Okay.
also, sort of, who knows? Maybe it's original. Who knows? I have no idea. I don't have to understand everyone. Not my job. Anyway, so people are eventually going to these variations, for example, that you made. Let me go back. These variations that you made, most of them I think are pretty cool, pretty
I
acceptable.
actually
They're
didn't make any
fattening
of
the
them.
waves. You did, sorry?
I didn't make any of them. No.
You didn't make any of them.
No.
Oh, Arturo made them.
Yes.
Aha. Well, so you did a good job. With one of them, I took instant dislike to, but that's because of my history. It just looked a bit like a helmet, and I didn't really care for that. But I'm going to leave that out.
Okay.
The I would prefer that we stay pretty close to the original for until it's established.
Yes, that was one of the points that a lot of people were bringing up,
And
and
then once it's
I agree.
established, people can tweak. I have no problem with that.
So I think the idea was more like having creative liberty. I don't think, well, I don't know. Arturo was the one who was playing around with the symbol. I did notice that some parts of the symbol, the original symbol, aren't as practical when you convert them to practical uses, such as using them for an app or using them as um, I don't know, something that you would stick behind your car because of the space that it has. Um, it's really hard to identify from far away. because it's a lot of
Oh, well,
lines and things like that?
we haven't really had many problems. Well, it depends what you've got backing it. For example,
Yes.
one of your other Patreons has put together different stickers and fridge magnets and bumper stickers. And I'm not going to name it because I don't know if I'm allowed to or not. So I'm just going to leave that. But he's been very, very inventive, and he's done all sorts of things. And he put it on the back of his car, and I've seen it. It looks pretty nice. It depends. I've also tried it against different back. For example, I've played with it against light green backing, light blue, but sometimes it just looks really washed out, that sort of thing. You have to be careful. It's going to take a while until we find something. Of course, I like to use that skin tone brown somewhere in there, so I'm going to have to sort of incorporate that. But coming back to tweaking just for a second, one of the people who wrote me was a group in London, and they've taken out the blue waves and they put rainbow colors in where those blue waves were. Right, so they've kept the basic idea. They've only taken out the blue and they put like a rainbow in there, which I thought was a neat idea. But
Okay.
like I said, I prefer for the meantime, for until it's established, that we try and stay kind of close to the original and then go from there.
Very good. Um, I just lost my line of thought. Um,
The train of thought is derailed.
yes, it sometimes
Yeah.
happens, and it's
Oh,
happened a lot
oh, yeah.
lately.
Tell me about it.
So, how has been the reaction of the community? I noticed that some people were very passionate about the variations. So, in a sense, I think that's good because people defend what they consider to be important, and it
Oh,
seems,
yeah.
certainly seems like a lot of people are adopting the symbol, and that's
Hmm.
ultimately going to determine the success behind it.
Yeah. Well, see, I'm going to backtrack one. I've got a challenge going this week where people are
Mhm.
supposed to have a picture of themselves with this symbol somewhere, then normalizing naturism somewhere in the normal symbol sort of thing.
People can find
Naturist
this
symbol.
on your Twitter, right? At
You can find it on my
Ivan.
Twitter. You can find it on a number of Twitters now because a number of people have taken place.
So, what's the
This
Twitter?
has
So,
caused,
whoever's watching this from another platform that's not Twitter, can you tell us where they can find it?
well, just come to Iban Saram, IBANSARAM on Twitter,
Hmm.
and that's Team Naturist, and we're hosting it, and that goes until next Monday evening at 11:59 Pacific Daylight Time. So people can take a picture and they've got the symbol somewhere in their picture, and then they can win mugs and stickers and carry on. So some people have seen these things and have got back to like I said, my DMs and messages and things blew up this morning when the first wave hit, when the Europeans basically when the Europeans woke up and sort of, this is fantastic. It's the greatest thing since sliced bread. The other people are, this is horrible. How could you ever? I'm never going to do this. So you've got a couple very vocal people who are singing your praise. And you've got another group of very vocal people who are basically collecting torches and pitchforks so they can stand outside your window in the middle of that. But I mean, you're never going to please all of the people all of the time. But
Of
I would
course.
say, generally speaking, it has been very, 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 very positive.
What would Twitter be without the controversy?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's what keeps us going.
Definitely. So, I have seen a lot of people participating in this contest. What is behind the contest? How does it work? Can you explain it to us?
Okay. So, well, I mean, some people have really done, they're posting a new picture every day. So the idea is this: just take a naturist photo of you. And I say expressly naturist. It should not be anything sexual in nature, and it should not be just it should not. Some people misunderstood this as being a nature picture, so I had two people send in pictures of lakes with no people in. That's that it's a nice natural picture. It's a nature picture, but and they might have taken on nature's holiday. But I would like to see people in there somewhere. Whatever. So somewhere in this picture should be the new symbol, either as a badge at the bottom or a label or an emblem. Some people were clever and they've got little signs and they're holding up signs, which I think is kind of cute. I think that's kind of nice. You know, different people have done different things. And then what you do is you post it to your Twitter account and you put, what do you put on there? Oh, you put naturist symbol, right, with the
Naturist
hashtag,
Symbol.
right? And you get extra points if you also include the normalizing naturism hashtag, and even more extra points if you've got it in your banner on your profile, Twitter profile there, or in your Twitter profile. So you can score some mega great big points.
And what are the prizes?
So the first prize, I'm going to have to, I know this off the top of my head, I don't. It's stickers, mugs, something
Fridge
else.
magnet, postcards.
Fridge magnet, there you go, exactly. There it is. You know this better than I do.
No, I actually have it up on screen.
Okay. Well, then could you read it to us?
Okay, prize. The first prize is a mug, a bumper sticker, a fridge magnet, and 5 postcards. I have a question. This is going to be shipped worldwide?
It's going to be shipped worldwide. Now, we're having a problem with some of the people who took part in COVID, or I know other people who were expecting beer for some strange reason. It took a long, long time to ship from Germany, right?
Yes.
Because right now there are fewer transatlantic flights. Things have to be first class postage, express mail. It makes it super expensive. So some people who participated in the COVID challenge a while back, the collage, are still waiting for mugs.
So it's gonna take patience, but it will eventually.
It might take a while. But however, clever me has come up with a new idea. If the winner happens to be in North America, because that's where the problems are, nothing against North America, that's where the problems are right now, because that's, we're shipping them. We're going to find a printer in North America and have it shipped directly to them
from North America,
because it does not include any nudity.
Okay.
You see, the COVID one, I couldn't do that way because American printers have problems printing things with nudity on them.
Really?
Yes. I couldn't just walk into, I don't know, whatever, a copy shop there and say, yes, I want to have this poster that has, 48 different naked people on it. Well, it had more than 40, it had 98 different naked people on it. Yes, and I needed this 12 times, and could you please laminate it? Thank you. Right? They would look at me like, could you please call 911? We've got a pervy here. That kind of thing. And that's not necessarily what I want. So we actually have a printer here that does that, and good quality. And then we ship it on. The problem is now for example, the posters that we sent out last year, when we sent them to North America, cost €3. When we send them now, they cost $13.50.
Wow. That's a big difference.
Yes. So yeah, that bites a bit. So yes.
So the second prize is a mug, a bumper sticker, and 5 postcards. And the third prize is a mug and or bumper sticker or a sticker.
Yes, because some people prefer the mugs. Some people prefer the bumper stickers. Depends how out you want to be. Some people say, oh, I can use that in the office, or I can use it at home, that sort of thing. Other people say, I'll just put it on the car because, that sort of thing. It depends. Some people, the different kinds of, it's the same with the COVID collage. Some people said, although I could get a poster, I want to have a mug. And other people are, oh, I know I could get the mug, but if I pay extra, can I have the poster? It goes both ways.
Alrighty then, sir. So is there any other question that you think might be important to address?
About the symbol? No. Well, there is going to be a website very, very soon where people can download the symbols so they don't need that drop. Well, they can also use the Dropbox if they want to. But people are constantly asking, where do I get these? And if it's going to have like a short URL, like naturist symbol, whatever, then it'll be easier found and people will adopt it more easily. And we'll also have a short history of it and that sort of thing.
So
But it's not going to be.
as soon as you have that information, can you pass it on to me so I can add it to the description of this video, and anyone that is interested in acquiring that information can find it.
Definitely.
All righty then, sir. Well, thank you very much for this conversation, this
It
interview.
was my pleasure.
I'm going to be uploading this to several platforms. I don't think I can upload the full version on Twitter because there's a limitation, but I want to extract
I think we went
small.
over time there by about, yeah, who knows?
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a
little
2
bit.
minutes, 20-second timer there, but I want to extract some parts of this conversation and upload those so more and more people can find out about this. And I think I really hope that this catches on and we can finally agree upon a symbol that can bring us together.
That'd be sweet.
So
Thank you
thank
very,
you
very much. I appreciate it.
for your initiative and for the work that you put into this. This was a lot of time, a lot of
It
effort,
was.
and you're even putting in your personal resources because I'm sure that you are going to pay for the shipping and so on. So
Yes.
I think it's a noble cause. Thank you for it.
You're very, very welcome. I enjoyed it.